Ah, ça y est les gars, je crois on est parti. On est connecté et on commence directement avec un trailer qu'on a déjà regardé. Ouais, on l'a déjà vu celui-là. Du moins je crois. Ah, n'hésitez pas les gars, si jamais c'est pas assez fort, je montrerai. Ok, ok. Ça c'est déjà vu ça.
Over time, the ideals of the scientific process they held to were enshrined in their culture, and they came to be known as the Ionians.
Ok, donc là il parle des survivants dans la planète. Là.
They didn't invade Earth with the other Elixni houses. Instead, they sought a new home, which they found alongside the Ionians.
Ah oui, les nouveaux ennemis avec leur jetpack là. Ils arrivent comme des seigneurs là pour se faire farm.
And that they converted into the ether they need to survive ended up being toxic. So when the Ionians failed to cure them, the house rose up under an archon claiming to be blessed with prophetic sight. Now,
ils ont le Covid les mobs là.
And they'll stand opposed to the Guardian as they walk the winding pathways of Kepler, learning more about what called them there in the first place.
Non, ma
causal power acts as a catalyst for the normally corrosive force of dark matter. These new powers will allow them to unlock long sealed passageways for the Ionians.
Ouais, donc là, il va se transformer en boule.
At the core of the planetoid.
Ça, c'est un boss déjà existant, ça. Ah, les gars, le son de live, il est bon ou pas? Sinon, je monte. Mais je crois qu'on est bon normalement. Ah, la jeune cyclope. C'est parfait? Ok. Ok, ok, nickel, merci. Des Angry Birds volant les mobs. Ça. En vrai, ce délire-là, les gars, avec les énigmes comme ça, là, où il faut faire des ponts et après passer sur des endroits un peu bizarres, ça va être marrant au début, mais après à force, je sens que ça va être chiant. Ah, le délire des énigmes comme ça, là, c'est pas trop mon délire, hein. Mais, après, le délire avec la boule, c'est seulement dans la nouvelle zone. Hein. Et c'est que sur Kepler et peut-être dans le nouveau raid aussi. Je vous jure, mon rêve dans le nouveau raid, on va se mettre à 6 en mode boule. Nouvelle arme, ça. And then in mid-air, leap into Matterspark to dash across the arena and arc chain a group of enemies. Bon, pour l'instant, on n'apprend pas grand-chose. Hein. Là, il nous faut un récap un peu de toutes les nouveautés sur Kepler. Là. On va faire apparaître Shenron. On n'est plus dans la saison du feu, là. Oh, c'est DMG. Et il est pas sûr, notre poteau là.
Big shout out to the folks that we had on our Dev Insight video. We were just talking about Kepler, destination abilities, some of the secrets of Kepler and the Aeonians, but we're going to leave that for a later date for you to discover. Today we're going to be talking a bunch about
oui, il est plus là avec sa veste en cuir.
Feature updates with Armor 3.0, gear tiering, some new loot for you to grind out, and a bunch of cool things to show. So, without further ado, let's get to it. We have quite a bit to go through in the show, and to start, we're actually going to be in the shooting range.
Ok, ils vont aller dans le centre de tir. Vas-y, montre un peu les nouveaux trucs. Là. Ça, c'est la batteuse de la planète de Kepler. Ça, c'est le pistolet pompe du World Loot, je crois.
Yeah, so when Destiny 2 launched, we had armor in the game, but there were 3 stats. There were no mods available.
Là, il fait un récap du système des statistiques là, depuis le début du jeu. Au début, on avait 3 stats, après on a eu 6. Et là, donc, c'est la nouvelle évolution, les armures 3.0.
We're reworking the stats. We're adding set bonuses and we are adding gear tiers as well.
Yeah.
And Kind of the goals with Armor 3.0. So one, we want to make
Ah mais le stand de tir vraiment c'est banger ça par contre. Hein. Enfin. Non Raito. Il y aura un autre DLC au mois de décembre.
And give you further depth of build crafting in your armor rolls, essentially. Yeah. See the actual
ah mais ça pour tester les builds, c'est incroyable.
Yeah, and you can load in here with a full fire team of 6 if you want to check out raid boss damage or just come in here by
on peut se ramener à 6.
Talking friends, shooting the stuff. So let's really quick talk about stats. This is one of the major overhauls. A couple things are leaving, a couple things are being added.
Ah, donc là il va parler des stats qui partent. Donc il y a la mobilité par exemple qui se fait remplacer.
Yeah. So we've removed some stats. We've removed resilience. We've removed
mobilité, browser.
Mobility. Yes, and mobility. So instead, starting from the top, we got health. Then we have melee and grenade, super, class, and then our weapon stat. So this is an entirely new suite of stats, does different things. All of our stats now, instead of going to 100, they go to 200. So once you go above 100,
maintenant les stats peuvent aller jusqu'à... Surtout un récap là. Là, il faut un récap un peu de tout ce qu'ils nous ont montré. Donc là, ils vont passer au niveau des armes exos et des exotiques. Moi, l'exotique du titan, là, avec le marteau que tu peux rappeler, ça, j'ai hâte de tester. Après, les deux autres, pas trop hype.
What this does is after your Hellion fires, after a certain amount of time, the projectile is going to shatter.
Bon, lui, ça va améliorer le l'âme solaire, là, de l'arcade.
Units and scorch them, and so it kind of like adds a little bit of like skill play to something that was kind of more of a passive aspect in the past.
Yeah, and I think in the shooting range we can see like it can be.
Est-ce que ça va remplacer les as de l'évasion? Je sais pas.
Exotic, right?
Yeah.
Je sais pas.
It can kind of serve multiple roles, just kind of like a amping up something that was like a
Comment va tonton?
Old tool to be.
Ah mais le titan j'ai hâte de tester. Après autre chose c'est que le titan malheureusement t'es obligé de jouer en doctrine solaire. Alors que là par exemple l'exotique de l'arcade tu peux être un prisma. Il faudrait qu'ils switchent les compétences dans la prisma en vrai. Genre toutes les saisons ou tous les DLC ça change et il faut une rotation.
So like while you're using the exotic, the Hellion itself, like the little solar buddy, will have the same X that the gauntlets do. So it's like a nice little nod to like match the exotic.
Je sais pas, moi cet exotique là les gars, je suis sceptique. Oh c'est cool, c'est... Ah ouais je sais pas.
Love it. Next up, I believe we have Hunter on docket.
Yeah, so the Hunter exotic is
allez, l'exotique du chasseur. Bon, lui, c'est le plus aux FD3. À la limite, si vous jouez avec le build, avec la toupie Blade, ça peut être cool, mais...
So, the way this works is if you have a tangle out in the field, you throw your strand Hunter melee at it, it'll...
Il va réussir à le montrer, ce truc-là, ici.
Bring one back to you that if you catch the spike, you'll get another tangle. So you can like duplicate a tangle.
Ouais, ça duplique l'enchevêtrement quoi. Ouais, la toupie. Voilà. Donc là, il a créé une toupie et après ça ramène aussi l'enchevêtrement, donc ça fait double enchevêtrement quoi. Ah vrai, avec le build avec la toupie Blade, ça peut être cool en vrai, mais bon. Là du coup, ça fait une double toupie. Ah vrai, ça peut être cool aussi, mais... Three Beyblades.
Zipping between the tangles with grapple, it's cool as hell.
It's very strong. It's also going to be very strong with this artifact upcoming, which we'll talk about. But
ah bah l'artefact ouais, qui buff pas mal la strand, la stase et le solaire.
The threaded spike will bounce to the tangle from enemies as well. So it's something that has a lot of easy use.
Après là il baisse sa knette, hein. Il baisse là, le nombre de fragments déjà.
Skill at the same time.
Yeah, I think before we move on to Titans, and sorry Titans, we'll get to you in a second. Really cool exotic. I do want to talk about Gambler's Dodge.
Ah, mais ça aurait été incroyable, Bridget.
We talked about a bunch of abilities changes, exotic tuning, that kind of stuff.
Mais après, ça aurait peut-être été un peu trop fort.
Yeah, we have reworked Gambler's Dodge. So it's the energy you get when you dodge
Donc,
now scales on your melee stat, but you no longer have to dodge near enemies to get that energy. So I can dodge anywhere in the game. I don't have to worry about this invisible circle that's around me to know if I'm close
Attends, ça redonne plus la mêlée? Ça donne juste un peu d'énergie. Attends, quoi? J'ai pas suivi là. Merde.
There's also, Taylor, you were talking about the multiple charges, right?
So if you, like our bar for a lot of this stuff is if you are at 70 stat, you'll get the full refund like you used to. But if you go beyond that, you'll actually get a little bit more, which most of the time doesn't matter. But like
ah, ok, c'est en fonction de la stat classe.
Fiddy Spade or any of the multi-melee things or Stasis Shurikens, it'll go up to like 1 1/3 charges. So you can keep that going even better if you're fully invested in melee. So you have like more reasons like to invest in it. If you want more melees, you want them to be more damaging, then you just go all in on that. And it will still
Ok, c'est en fonction de la stat mêlée.
Which is great. Like
freeze everything.
Salut life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So, and then I won't be bothering you and saying, don't kill this thing, let me do my dodge.
Yeah, you can just do it wherever you want.
So yeah, let's go on to Titans. So this one thematically, I think.
Ah, lui, c'est l'exotique qui me hype le plus, les gars. Lui, j'ai trop hâte de tester. Après, dommage qu'on soit obligé de jouer la doctrine solaire. Dommage que ça marche pas en prisme.
Yeah, but go ahead.
It's it's an exotic themed around something that people have been asking for a long time, which is kind of the fantasy of Thor's hammer.
Bah oui, c'est trop bien là de pouvoir ramener le truc de loin.
Back to me after I throw it.
Ça va être incroyable.
So there's like a little minigame loop here where you get a fire
Bon, je sais pas si ce sera le truc le plus fort, les gars, mais en tout cas, le gameplay il est très cool, quoi.
And if you pull the hammer back with good timing, it'll explode into like solar shrapnel and hit stuff for like extra damage on the way back.
Ah, c'est stylé. C'est stylé.
And I think the hammer also will damage things on the return trip too. So if you position yourself well, you can actually like send it back through guys.
Line them up.
Back,
Ouais, ça peut faire des dégâts aussi quand ça revient.
For a long time, but it's been kind of a scary.
Complicated.
Yeah, it's hard to balance this sort of thing where it's like it returns all your energy, but it also you can pull it back to you at any time. So Alex, our designer, really
c'est stylé,
knocked it out of the park as far
c'est stylé.
as,
it came out so well.
The balance and the activator and the
performance.
Après,
Before this.
si les mecs sont collés, c'est banger. Après, si tu démobs genre que comme ça et les mecs sont un peu écartés, en vrai, c'est long quand même. L'animation, elle est longue.
If you're like looking off to the side, we kind of move the player's hand a little bit, so you're like still kind of actually pulling the hammer, and that's like the first time we've done that with like a world object, and it's very cool. It feels really good.
Awesome.
It's super satisfying.
Yeah, I think.
Mais j'avoue, ouais,
c'est
satisfaisant.
Some more gameplay and an actual activity in a minute, but before we go, I do want to ask for stats. And actually, two things. With your exotics, there are going to be gear bonuses that you can build on top of, correct? And that's a new Armor 3.0 feature.
Yeah, so gear bonuses when a new armor set drops.
Ok, ils vont parler des sets maintenant.
If you have 2 or more pieces
Deux ou
from that
plus
armor set, you will get an
pièces
additional perk. If you have 4 or more pieces from that armor set,
Dans cette armure, vous aurez des perks en plus.
on top of that. So I could take 2 pieces from one set, 2 pieces from another set, and then an exotic, and I have like more perks than I've ever had before on my Guardian, and it's really enables you to expand your build crafting in new ways.
Yeah, I think we have an example of this in the build right now. If gameplay specialists could inspect an armor piece.
Bah, c'est à la tour, c'est pour ça.
Yeah, here's some of the destination armor bonuses that you can get.
Yeah, so
Alors, on a ici un petit exemple. 2 pièces. After final blow with any rocket or grenade launcher, sprint for a short time to gain speed booster. Et après, donc si vous avez 4 pièces. Donc ça, c'est le set armure du Kepler. Once per activation, a force converter sprinting with a critical head, been suspended or been slowed by stress effect will immediately grant speed booster for a short time.
I mean, we also get to make perks that are like, I'm
Ouais.
this guy, you know, because you're
Ouais,
investing so heavily in the force.
c'est pas le truc le plus exceptionnel là.
But what's really
Je
cool
pense
about
que
this,
le
like,
meilleur
I
set,
think
les gars,
it's
ce
gonna be very
sera
cool
sûrement
live
celui
when we, like,
du
launch.
raid.
But I think in like
Des armures du raid.
you know, releases or whatever, just a little bit in the future, we're gonna see people go like, hey, remember that armor that I
Avoir aussi les armures d'Ozzy, les nouvelles.
Right, the two-piece perk from Kepler is really cool with whatever, and we're really
Et comment va
excited about
Jérémy?
that.
Yeah, and then the second piece of this is going to be for the stats rework. Some of the fragments are going to be reworked as well to adopt new stats or change, right?
Yeah, so fragments still can adjust your stats up or down depending on your build.
Ils vont parler des fragments.
And some of these, you know, because we've deprecated some of our perks, or stats rather, some of these are new. Like we're gonna have, you know, some of these will have weapon stat, which never have happened before, which just opens up new build crafting avenues.
Move on, and let's talk about some new stuff. Vivian, you have been very excited about a new weapon archetype that is coming with.
Donc là, ils vont parler d'un nouvel archétype d'armes. Donc quoi, les pistolets pompes ou le pulse missile?
And today I have your answer. For Edge of Fate, we are building a crossbow. This is so it is.
Il parle aussi du cross. Ah, c'est l'arme qu'on a vue juste avant là. Mais ça, c'est un exotique ça.
Now, so when we went to go make this, we knew it was like
c'est une arbalète, les gars.
Right? We want the feeling of like really drawing it back and it hitting a single target and doing a ton of damage. But we do have linear fusion rifles, right? And that's always the question: is like, what does this do that's different? What's the fun gameplay here? And we settled on, well, you know, when you shoot that big heavy bolt and it hits your target, you can just go pick it back up. So this thing theoretically is a heavy weapon with unlimited ammo.
Tu vas pouvoir ramasser les munitions? Genre tu pètes un mec avec ton arbalète, tu peux aller sur le cadavre et tu ramasses la flèche et ça te remet la mule.
But it's just such a satisfying loop to just like pull it out of some, you know, dead hive.
Ouais, c'est ça.
Just put it in the rail, pull it back, use the same bolt to shoot someone else. It's great.
I saw in last week in a PvP playtest, I saw someone run the entire map with a single bolt.
Yeah.
And they just kept it alive for minutes on end.
That was me, I'm sorry.
Ah ouais, mais...
I can hear the PvP mains, like, when you said infinite heavy ammo, they're like, excuse me?
Yeah.
C'est clair, mais attends, mais... Oui, après, il faut aller quand même sur le corps du mec pour ramasser le truc, mais...
In PvP, you only get the one. You gotta get the headshot, and it's very funny.
Ok, un PvP, c'est headshot, sinon ça one-shot pas. Encore heureux.
So as we're going into this activity, we'll get some gameplay footage. This is a good example of the portal system that we'll be talking about next week on July 1st. Make sure to tune in. But we're going to be taking some content from just the history of Destiny, and it will be in the portal to go in and play. Power progression, we'll be talking about that next week.
L'arbalète, c'est la cryo.
Vivian, back to the heavy crossbow though. You were talking about this being legendary, so that means random rolls.
Ah, c'est un légendaire.
Bolts.
Yes, yeah. So we had a really fun opportunity when we were making this, where we go to the talent grid.
Oh, c'est sûr qu'un jour il y aura une version exo.
And we got to the talent grid and we were like, this thing does not have a magazine. We cannot put magazines on this, right? And it gave us the opportunity to like really go, what would like a different magazine plug system look like? And so what we ended up going for is like, we have bolt types, and the bolt types, instead of just being stats, they're going to alter the way the bolt actually behaves out in the world.
Yeah.
So we've got, one of them is like explosive bolt, where it's gonna put in a target, it'll like beep, 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 and it'll just explode. Kind of like a grenade launcher. And then we have, my personal favorite is that we have serrated bolts. I remembered to say the shipping name this time.
Oh, you can say, yeah. If it doesn't have three names, it's not real game dev.
Yeah. I never know when things go live. I never know. I'm like, oh, you guys know better than I do the names.
Go ahead.
But yeah, so we have serrated bolts, and you can put like the bolt in a target with serrated bolts, and you can normally draw them back out of living targets, but if you have serrated bolts, they're gonna deal damage on the exit too. And it is so satisfying to like land the final hit with the pull, and you just pull back your bolts and you get them, and they just go flying.
I'll take that back. Yeah, when you first brought this up, I was just like, that's so metal. Like, yeah, gimme.
It's something.
Voilà, là, il l'a ramassé, là.
Just on the topic of ammo, there are new ammo meters. Bjorn, we were going to talk about this in the firing range, shooting range. But we actually have some live gameplay where we can see these
Ok,
meters,
bon bah,
working out.
tester.
Can you talk us through
Ça en
what is this new system, how
vrai.
does it work, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so there's been a pretty big shakeup in the way that ammo works in the game, where in the past it wasn't really anything that you had too much control over, but now it is something that you have like a lot of control over and a lot of build crafting hooks to optimize.
Une arbalète, quoi.
Make your own. And it almost like kind of works like an ability or like a super does now, where it lives in your weapon tray. You can see there below the weapons on kills and assists with anything that'll tick up. And then when you hit full, the next kill will drop you a brick of that type. So there's a lot of things you can do now that you can build into to like have a lot more control over the pacing of when you're getting that.
Sweet. But before we get out of combat, I do want to talk about, alongside the new weapon archetype of the crossbow, we have some new weapon frames coming to the game.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So.
Ah, donc là on a les autres catégories ici. Les revolvers à coup de fusil à pompe. Et après donc on a aussi un pulse avec des micro-missiles.
You know,
But
I'm sure it'll be great.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
it's very limited. It's like a sidearm.
Ouais, c'est le revolver de l'Osiris.
Like even less range than a sidearm, but like less precision reliant.
This thing has become my baby in
Yeah.
PvP. I love this thing.
It's pretty great.
It's kind of like having like a sawed-off
Yeah.
that's like a primary ammo, and it is just so good if you play aggressive or you use like other abilities to hit people.
Ça ouais.
Right, and that's exactly how I play. So I love this thing.
And second, so shout out to Sammy Cat.
Ouais, surtout un PvP, j'ai vu un test les gars, c'est quand vous êtes à portée, là, que vous mettez ça dans dégâts critiques. Ah, ça tabasse.
A longbow, which is like a big, heavy warbow, even slower draw than precisions, but more damage, and it has intrinsic overpenetration. So if you line up
tout est possible en 2025 maintenant, je
like hip fire a full draw, it'll just go straight through all of them with one shot.
I love that our damage numbers have been squished a little bit, so they actually mean something now. Because if you look at how much damage this bow is doing compared to like each one of those pellets in the hand cannon,
Right.
Like when like in the live game where it's like I did 20,000 damage with a shot, I was like,
it's hard to compare.
Yeah, it starts to be meaningless. But for me, we've just changed so much, and I can't overstate like how. Yeah, how much has changed and how this game.
Ah, il a enlevé l'arbalète.
I guess.
Remets l'arbalète.
Yeah, and a lot of those changes are like they go hand in hand, right? Like us changing the stats
Bientôt on aura bipied sur un
around,
pompe.
you know, us making new builds possible. A lot of these changes are all like they're all going to kind of combine to create something new.
Yeah. Did you see that front shielded ogre? With we have a new. We'll talk about this next week.
Yeah.
But the new Banes are incredible. I'm very excited for players.
Oh boy, yeah. New Banes, new modifiers, all that kind of stuff. And then the final weapon we got on tap is going to be a special weapon, another burst.
Eh oui.
Shoots explosives.
Eh oui, eh oui. Un pulse à missile.
Big fans of rocket assisted sidearms.
Il est dégueulasse. J'aime pas du tout le skin.
So that fits a similar role, but a little bit different. It's a
Le
little
viseur,
more
il est
than the
trop gros.
sidearms. Got a bit more range and hits a bit harder. So it kind of fits in between like a fusion rifle and a sniper rifle. Also kind of fires a little bit differently than pulse rifles, which is interesting, just because like all of our pulse rifles have like different bursts.
Ils vont nous montrer un peu de gameplay avec?
When you're
Oui.
firing each pulse, they all have like the same rate of fire. So this, instead of being like the brr, it's like a bop bop bop. So it feels heavier and it's firing these like big, slower projectiles. So it feels chunkier.
Thank you for doing a Dave Samuel
impression.
there.
I aspire to greatness.
Yeah.
This thing is like real cool. It's real heavy, but it's also like, you know, like we said, it's like pretty ammo hungry.
Mais du coup, c'est avec des munitions secondaires par contre. Hein.
We have the ammo stat. You know, you can build into that. You can eliminate that downside, and now you can see it working.
Yeah, same for the longbow too. Like there were some perks on the random rolls that you can go in, lessen the draw time. Like sure, it's still going to be a little bit slow hitting, but there's a bunch of ways that you can build craft and tune these things to feel good for your play.
Like you have like one for all or other things that care about hitting multiple targets.
Comme les pistolets micro-missiles, c'est pareil.
As we're going through this transition, we actually have a bunch more to cover, and gear tiering has been top of mind for a lot of players ever since our reveal stream. So Eric, I'd love to dive in and just revisit what's the high-level vision statement for gear tiering and how we're getting players reinvested in some of that.
Yeah, so gear
il a dû mettre un
tiering,
modificateur.
Enables players to look at a piece of gear at a glance and like understand how powerful it is. So you can see those kind of 5 icons or 5 little dots there.
Donc là, il nous parle du système de tiers.
Tier armor piece we're looking at, and the stat package or the stat pool that each piece gives is going to depend on the tier. So you can see at tier
Ouais,
1,
ok, donc on voit les stats que ça donne. Bon bah, de toute façon, bon bah ça les gars, c'était sûr. Hein, le but final, ça va être de chercher donc des armures tier 5, des armes tier 5. Bon, ça, normal quoi. Plus votre tier est haut, plus vous avez de stats.
What is low to a given player? Like 62 feels low, but an actual definition is like 58 or lower.
Yeah.
In the game now, we have UI that tells you exactly what are the stat bands for each of the tiers, so you know what you're looking for as you're trying to build a 200 or 150 or whatever you're looking for.
Alors nous, on va bien aller chercher les armures tier 5, les gars. Nous, on veut des stats.
Yeah, having information in game is great. I think the biggest thing about this is that because the bands are a lot narrower, you have a much better expectation of what you're getting like before you even start the activity. So, like I know a lot of people like you go into a master dungeon to farm some artifice armor and you don't know if you're going to get like 55
ça sera pas possible.
or 70.
Ça sera pas possible.
Extremely wide range, but like that takes a lot of time.
Je crois le max ça sera 2 stats à 200.
You're going into like the toppest end difficulty thing to get tier 5s, you know exactly what you're getting.
Il va falloir faire des choix.
It's significantly more likely that when you get your drop, it's going to be something valuable. It might not be valuable to your exact build, but it will be valuable. It'll be the stats total that you want.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, and with the new portal system, which we'll talk about next week, you're going to have a score goal that you want to hit to get that exact armor piece, and it's like more targeted farming or more targeted. You know, if I want to chase a certain thing, like I know what I have to do to get it, and when it drops, I know what it's going to give me as far as the total value, right?
Yeah.
And it's just much more clear and exciting. So.
And go ahead.
I really like, we're mousing over here, the armor archetype. We now like display what things are going to be high on it and what things are going to be low, and they're like a little further apart where things are going to be spikier now.
C'est vrai qu'on peut voir ça aussi, la catégorie d'armure là. Ouais. Comme ça, tu sais directement un peu qu'est-ce que tu as comme stat en priorité.
You can see that like at your main inventory level too. So you're just like mousing over like, oh, I just got a bunch of drops. What did I get? Cool. Is it gunner? Is it grenadier?
Right.
Like what is the thing that I want? You can use that as like a quick reference rather than needing to go all the way into inspection and see like the exact stats.
And the last detail on tier 5 for armor, we mentioned this in the reveal stream. But you can get to 11 energy for your armor. So it helps with build crafting. You can get more of those armor mods slotted and that kind of stuff.
It goes to 11 now.
Yeah, right. So switching
better,
over to weapons, though, I would love to, we have some examples of tier 1, tier 3, and tier 5 weapons to show what is that progression looking like?
Yeah, similarly, when a weapon drops, I'm able to just glance at it and be like, oh, tier 1 weapon, it's going to have base stats, it's going to have a limited...
Ok, donc là, ils vont nous faire un peu un récap des différents tiers et voir un peu qu'est-ce que ça change. Donc là, tier 1, c'est une arme classique, sans rien en plus. Tier 3, c'est les armes actuelles, avec les 2 perks améliorés. Et après, il passe directement au tier 5. Bon, au tier 5, il y a tout qui est amélioré, voilà. Ah, et même les modes, ouais, c'est vrai qu'il y a même les modes d'armes qui sont boostés.
When I'm starting an activity, what is the expectation of the things I'm getting? This, like the multi-perk and the enhanced perks kind of work for that too. So the odds of you getting that like specific god roll or multi-god roll, if you're looking for like the combo PvP, PvE weapon.
But yeah, the last thing for tier 5 gear, I would like to show the cosmetic treatment that we've been doing. We showed this in the reveal stream, but tier 5s have an awesome new shader treatment and also kill effects.
Ok, les armes tier 5, donc elles ont aussi un kill effect. Un effet quand vous faites un kill, une animation. Sparks Evil Sting. Ah, et pourquoi pas.
Yeah, and you can see with gear tiering, it's kind of learning a bunch of lessons through the years of Destiny. Like, kill effects are really cool. Players like this. Now we have a new slot for it. Players really like hollow foils as a chase in the game right now, and now we have tier 5s where you get sort of a hollow foil style treatment for it. So it's been really cool to watch y'all develop this over time. But to your point,
c'est un truc
this actually is a good
de
segue into the next section.
la
where
reine
we're talking
sorcière.
about new and featured gear and our artifact. So Eric, if you want to take the stage, what is new or featured gear?
Yeah, so our new gear, when we drop new weapons and armor for a season or for a release, that is going to get a bonus. It's going to be a little bit stronger than your other options. So on the
Grants damage resistance when using.
armor side,
Oh.
you are going to get a damage resistance bonus per piece you have equipped, and that is, it kind of scales by gear tier. So if I have
Ah ouais, mais
5 tier 1 armor
ça c'est fort
I'm
quand même
gonna
ça.
have, 5% damage
Là donc là il va
resistance
baisser.
against, everything.
Voilà, il est passé à 12% de résistance parce que du coup il a que
But if I
4
have
4 nouvelles armures.
Tier 5 gear pieces, I'm gonna have 15%
Et
damage
15% de dégâts.
So, I guess, yeah.
Résistance de
So
dégâts.
it is, something that
C'est bon.
allows me to
On peut supprimer tout notre
have a
coffre.
little bit of an edge. You know, it's a very small amount.
À
It's a
part les
min-max
objets de
sort
classe
of
exo, les objets de classe
situation
exo,
where
vous pouvez les
if I
garder.
wanted to wear stuff that is
Mais
not in the
vous pouvez
new
tout
gear
supprimer,
pool,
les gars.
like, I am not at a huge detriment.
Right.
But
Something that gives you, like,
15% de
that
réduction de
little bit
dégâts
of
et après t'as
edge
aussi le
to,
truc
like,
en dessous.
intro into, like, the highest
Des
tier
armes
stuff
aussi,
when you,
des
like,
dégâts d'armes
really
améliorés.
need just a little bit more health or a little bit
Jusqu'à
more damage.
10%.
Yeah, speaking of damage, solve this. The original number was 15%. It's actually 10% on your additional damage when you get all your tier 5
Bon bah.
so again, cherry on top, where it kind of gives you that edge, and also
Go
gives
tout
you a way,
supprimer, les gars.
kind of like in earlier
Allez,
releases
après le
where
live, je vais faire
you
une
walk
petite
out to the
séance
tower, you're wearing all your red gear.
nettoyage de
You're kind of
coffre.
like peacocking, as y'all have framed it. And now it's, oh hey, I have all tier 5 gear. This shows like, not only have I mastered this content, but I've earned a bunch of really cool stuff, gotten all the gear I want, and now I can carry my team through. So.
Bah chaque saison, ouais, il va
When it
falloir
comes
que
to
t'équipes.
the new gear as well, what's the way that you identify that as a player?
Il faut que t'équipes des nouveaux équipements
so
pour
if
que.
you see that little kind of
Après, je
teal
pense
icon
que
in
c'est
the top
équipement
left
dans
corner
l'année.
of
Non,
the
non, mais non,
armor
c'est
piece,
l'artefact.
that is
Mais
going
non,
to
c'est
what's-
tous les
that's
6 mois.
gonna tell me that it is in the new gear pool.
Tous les 6 mois.
It's not only gear from this season or release, but it is also gear. It's like a collection of.
Après, ça marche pas en PvP, c'était marqué. Ouais, mais.
Yeah, we hop into the
C'est un
collections
PvE,
real
en
quick.
PvE,
There's actually
15% de
a new,
réduction de dégâts,
section
c'est
that's gonna
énorme, c'est
show,
beaucoup trop fort.
Here's our featured gear. So if you have some things from previous releases, those are going to be a part of the building or build crafting as well.
Correct.
A note for any newer players or returning players, some of these things are actually like, you can go to Xur, try to grab those. You can go into Rite of the Nine. Emissary is going to have a few things like Graviton Lance. That's a great thing to pick up before this new release starts, so then you have a little bit of an edge going in.
Yeah.
Wow, I believe we are at the end of the stream.
C'est bon, on
Thank you
arrive
so
à la
much for
fin?
joining us on the couch. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining
ça fait
us
40
during
minutes.
this live stream to see what we have to offer. We do have another live stream next Tuesday.
Ça
July
rage quitte
1st,
la salle de
same
diffusion de
time,
BUNGIE,
same
d'ailleurs, c'est
place.
vrai.
Different cast, sorry. I'll invite you back soon.
Bon
We're going to
bah.
be talking portal power progression. So
Je
how are you
m'y
playing? How
attendais
are you
pas du
earning
tout, par
things?
contre.
How are you getting up to these tier 5s? And also, how are you customizing your experience in the portal with new banes, new modifiers, all that kind of stuff? Just
Bon, bah,
because this is
rendez-vous,
information heavy, as I mentioned, we do have a slate of blog content that'll be coming live. We'll have a recap on Thursday.
c'est mardi
We have
prochain, je crois, le
standalone
live.
next Wednesday
Bon,
that'll
moi, je
talk
serai
a
pas
little
là.
bit more about gear tiering. Next Thursday, we'll also have another recap for that stream and additional sandbox information. And then we keep marching into launch with more patch note previews.
Ouais, là, le live, ouais,
gear
c'était
previews, all that
90% de
kind of stuff.
récap, puis bon,
outside
bah,
of the full
10% de
suite of
nouveautés.
gear you'll be earning on Kepler, bunch of stuff
Bon.
to discover. So thank you so much again for joining. This has been a fun stream. And
Ah, merci
as we
pour la
leave, we're
présentation
gonna,
d'MG.
toss you. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.